Are you a farmer or rancher? Then you know how challenging it can be to put together a comprehensive benefit package for yourself, your family, and the employees that you might have working.
Yep, we are Shannon and Michael. We're with Healthcare Genius, and today we want to talk to you, farmers and ranchers, about how some of those struggles can affect you, but how you can combat them and do it actually in an affordable way.
Obviously, the last couple of years have been tough on the agricultural and ranching communities, so we do want to discuss some things that might be able to provide you coverage still, but maybe we can reduce some of that overhead.
Yes, absolutely. So the first kind of topic that we want to talk to you about is healthcare while you're working. And unfortunately, as we know, you may not have a ton of options when it comes to health insurance, and we all can get really frustrated by that. So one thing to consider, if you haven't already, is telemedicine. If you don't know what telemedicine is, it is the ability to sit down and talk with a doctor, possibly even get your prescriptions filled, and not even have to leave the house. All you need is an internet connection.
A couple of other areas to look at when it comes to non-conventional health insurance. One would be religious sharing opportunities. We do caution you to make sure you look at that company and that they have the wherewithal to pay claims, because we've seen some things come up in different states where that's been a problem. The other area that you might want to look at, depending on your state, unfortunately we don't have these in Colorado, but our short-term medical policies. Mm-hmm. So while those typically are going to be underwritten, so they're not quite like the Affordable Care Act coverage, they can provide rate relief for farmers and ranchers who, again, don't have a lot of options to look at. And if they're healthy, this can definitely save some dollars.
Absolutely. Another thing that a lot of us really don't like to think of as an option is Medicaid. For some of you, if you have years that you're not taking any income, you're not paying yourself, or maybe family members that you're not paying much like you are in some other years, Medicaid could be a really good option for those kind of catastrophic health events. It may not be the coverage that you want, but it can be the most affordable by a long shot.
So when we're talking about healthcare, again, with not having a lot of options, if you went the Medicaid route, or if you're on a plan that's an HMO, which again, a lot of plans are that way individually, is to look at life insurance as another way to protect yourself and your family in the event of a serious illness. Mm-hmm. Now, we all traditionally think of life insurance as being there to pay a death benefit when something happens to you that you pass away. But we have policies today now that have living benefits. And those living benefits allow you, if you had a serious health condition, to potentially take some of that death benefit and use it to cover those healthcare costs.
Absolutely. Some of the big holes in health insurance that can be so frustrating can be filled in by these life insurance with living benefits policies. They're great for if you want to go out of network, which for many of you, sometimes you could be forced to just strictly due to where you live. Also, if you want any kind of experimental treatment, this can be a great option. So we highly recommend, if you do have a life insurance policy, to do a review, see if you have living benefits, and if you don't, definitely look into converting to a policy where you have access to those benefits.
That's right. One of the third option is disability insurance. A lot of farmers and ranchers we see don't necessarily have that coverage, or aren't necessarily aware of the fact that they can actually apply for coverage with different companies for disability. We think it's really important. Again, what disability insurance is going to do is to help to offset that loss of income should something happen to you that you can't work. And we know in the farming and ranching community that things can happen just with the type of work that you do. So we want to make sure that you're looking at that and seeing what kind of protection you can provide through disability insurance.
Right, and you might be surprised by some affordable options that you can offer to your employees. And if you can't help them out with it financially, definitely encourage them to look into it for themselves. The next thing that we want to talk to you about is healthcare in retirement. And if you are not employed by a large company, you will be forced to go on Medicare when you're 65. Now, for some people that sounds great, but you may be surprised at how expensive that can get. A lot of people don't realize that Medicare is means tested. So if your operation's making more money post 65 than you thought it might, it's a great thing, of course, but you may be subject to paying a lot more from Medicare than you had originally thought.
Great point, Shannon. We see a lot of families where they transition maybe the farm to their children or even younger siblings. If you're now getting income for that transition, that can be included. Whereas before, when you were working, maybe you had a lot of expenses that you could write off. But now that you're receiving an income stream, you don't have as many options. So that can definitely push you into those higher income brackets for the means testing, which can double or even triple what your Medicare Part B and D premiums are.
That's right. Whether you are managing your retirement planning on your own or you have a financial planner, the healthcare piece is missed extremely often. And definitely make sure you're thinking about it before the time comes.
And then finally, long-term care, which we think of as disability insurance when you're retired. A lot of times people are looking at that and saying, well, I have the assets. I have assets. I can use those to pay for something if I had to go into a nursing home, or in most cases, have somebody come into my home. That's where most people want to be. But it's really a good idea to look at what types of long-term care coverage there are that you can use. Really, there are policies that can almost fit every budget or every asset level. We see people using their savings accounts as a way to purchase long-term care insurance. We also see people purchasing just traditional long-term care insurance. But when you look at statistically that 2/3 of people are going to need some sort of care when it comes to long-term care, then you should be incorporating this into your planning for healthcare.
Absolutely. We think it's a really important investment, and a lot of people that we work with are driven by the flexibility that it provides. A lot of people don't want to be forced into a nursing home. They want to stay at home, but they also don't want to put that burden on family members. So this is a great way to kind of alleviate that stress. So if you'd like help in reviewing any of the policies that you have currently, or you want some advice, feel free to apply to become our client in the link in the description below. We've also created a landing page that can help you shop some of your options and just give you some more information about some of the topics that we've covered today. So if you haven't already, we'd love if you subscribe to our channel so you have all the resources you need surrounding healthcare and retirement. Make sure you also click the notification bell so you know when we come out with new videos. And thanks for watching.